Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome back to Soundout's Toy Chest. This week's clue: I will not give up my favorite decoration, which could mean a lot of things, or it could be a quote from a particular gangster that may hang out in space or stars. And since May the 4th was on Monday, I was like, hey, let's review Star Wars The Black Series, Jabba's Throne Room. This was the 2014 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive for the Star Wars Black Series, and it is one of my favorite pieces of my collection, and I really am excited to show it off here. First of all, the box is gigantic, so let me adjust my camera angle a bit. Much better. Now, I must apologize in advance if we do have any white balance problems. The box being this black and my hand being, let's admit it, this white, it's going to throw things off a bit, so I apologize when it flashes a white light. A little tricky to control. So, here we have Jabba the Hutt's Throne Room. Now, this is the second San Diego Comic-Con exclusive for Star Wars The Black Series, the first being Boba Fett with the Han Solo and Carbonite, which I was also able to get. And this was released not as much hype, I think, as the Boba Fett set. Probably just Jabba the Hutt as opposed to Boba Fett. You know, you have one character who's really, really popular, and the other is Jabba the Hutt. So you have that. But it was pretty popular overall, and I'm really glad that I do have it, as this is an upgraded set of sorts, as it includes Jabba the Hutt, but also a bunch of accessories that aren't included in a single release at retail. So that's pretty neat. Now, I did get this from an eBay seller. My dad bought it for me for my birthday, because he is awesome. And I am so glad I did, because I saw horror stories of Hasbro Toy Shop banging up the boxes of almost all their Comic-Con exclusives in 2014. And for this, it kind of ruins the set a bit, as inside we have a diorama. What is the coolest part about the Jabba's Throne Room set is not necessarily what it includes, but what's, like, it's got a lot of cool stuff, but this diorama, having the backdrop of his palace, on the floor here, there's a design I'll show off in a bit. It looks fantastic in package. Even if you're careful and want to take the plastic out, it will look even better. But for me, I'm keeping the plastic in so he's safe. But no, this set looks great when it's in box. So if you have a giant hole in the side of your box, it causes problems. So I thought that was really sloppy of Hasbro. But overall, got it for a decent price, I assume. My dad's good at hunting deals, so I'm just really happy to have this. Now, like I said, it basically is a deluxe version of the Jabba the Hutt. This main Jabba, without any other parts, is available for about $40 at retail. Those have started going on clearance, because I feel like the people that wanted a Jabba the Hutt probably want the whole set, not just him. He is kind of boring on his own, I will admit that. But as you can see, he's got the hookah, he's got the throne, he's got Slice's Crub. You got all the cool stuff here that adds to the display. And what's even cooler is what you can add in addition to that. Because on the side here, if you'll notice, if I get the lid out of the way, there is a cardboard carbonite here. You can pull this out. Now this, you see, it's the Han Solo and Carbonite. But what's neat is if you have the one from the previous Comic-Con, you can slide this in here, and now you've got the Carbonite up on the wall. You can take the Boba Fett from that set and put him in here. And on top of that, the Slave Leia figure that was awful can sit right here on this piece of plastic and do that. You can have R2 over here pretending to serve drinks, and you can have Luke Skywalker confronting Jabba. It makes a nice little scene. I would love to see 3PO and a Bib Fortuna to go with this. Maybe even this year's Comic-Con being the Max Rebo band. I think that would be great if we just got a set of those guys as a separate diorama piece that would kind of connect to this, because they've been kind of building up a lot of Return of the Jedi stuff, which is really great for me, because Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie. And the 6-inch line's been fulfilling all those characters so far. We're getting the Emperor soon, we're getting Leia in the Bounty Hunter gear. So it's really kind of building this nice Return of the Jedi set. but also this display keeps getting bigger the more figures they release. So I'm hoping that more come out, and yeah, the second diorama set would be cool. I feel like each Comic-Con set has built on the previous one, so hopefully we'll hear an announcement soon for this year's Comic-Con. And whatever that Comic-Con set may be, whether it's a Max Rebo band or a Cantina band or an upgraded version of a figure coming out at retail, which is what they've been so far, I will get it. I am so far completionist on this 6-inch line. I really do enjoy this line as a whole, and I gotta say that Hasbro's doing a job with it. I can't say it's a great job because there's still these important characters we haven't gotten yet. They've been kind of sprinkling them out, but then they put out a bunch in one wave, and then they haven't done much since. I really want C-3PO, mostly for, you know, this display, but also because R2 is really lonely being a $20 figure that's this small. So there is that, but we're here to talk about the Jabba set. Now, I have taken this out once before, and I wanted to see how the figure was and all that. I will do it again so I can do a proper review. So if anyone does not want to see this out of the box because you are a mint and box collector, and I totally get that, leave now. Because I will be opening this guy, taking him out of the display here, which is really easy to do, actually. He's not too hard to get out of the box and not too hard to put back in, which is great collector-wise. So anyways, let's move on to that. I'm going to go ahead and remove him from the packaging. But before that, I do want to note that the packaging does have a nice Star Wars The Black Series logo up top, and on the bottom there is a Rancor Pit cage design. We can categorize this as things I forgot existed until looking closer. There is a lighted display, so if you don't have the carbonite in place, it actually looks like the carbonite's gone after Han Solo has been freed. So that's awesome. I like the little touch there. So here is Jabba. This is how Jabba appears at retail. Just your typical Jabba, the one you can pick up at Target or Toys R Us, whatever. Now, he is lacking when he doesn't have any accessories. He's got a hand that is meant to hold something that doesn't hold anything, and he's in a position to have a throne and to be in a diorama scene. He's not really gonna. He doesn't even have a joint here to turn to reposition himself, so he's walking forward, which I guess can be somewhat of a downside, but the overall look of him is better that way. Now, like I said, he is pretty big. He is, you know, proportionately scaled. There's a Leia. Oh, there's a Leia. She can lean against him. There's a Luke, so you can see he is tall enough. The figure is good scale for what he is, and that's awesome because it's a little tricky making a Jabba the Hutt. Now, what they did, instead of trying to engineer a bunch of joints in here, they kind of left him in a static pose from the lard down. You can see there is some copyright information splattered on the bottom here. But overall, this is pretty flat. It is hollow, which is another issue. But considering Jabba figures of the past, I mean, this isn't anything new. It's hard to articulate a Hutt. That's just what it is. It's hard to articulate a Hutt. Now, this is not a joint here. This is actually a split in materials, because this upper section here is all rubber, which worries me because I have seen what has happened to my DC Universe Classics Swamp Thing. Now, I think rubber has gotten better, and that Mattel uses faulty rubber, and Hasbro does not. But suffice to say, I keep this guy in the package to protect him for the most part, because I am a little worried that this rubber is going to degrade. And other than that, he does have articulation here in his arms. They do have elbow joints. They can move like that. They have a wrist joint that does pivot, so you do get good range in the arms. But what's cool is if you move his arm, his mouth opens. Now, this could be seen as another action gimmick. The last one was R2 and his spinning third leg. But this was more so to be accurate-ish, while this is kind of to give him more articulation and more to do. You can open his mouth, and you can position his arm to keep the mouth open. But if you'll notice here, and this is very, very small, so let me try to focus on it. See, he's already starting to pull apart a little bit there. That's a little worrisome. I do worry about this guy lasting, which is an issue, I gotta say. So, overall, Jabba on his own isn't really much to talk about. He is a Jabba. If you want a 6-inch scale Jabba, by all means, grab the retail version. Otherwise, not as worth it, I gotta say. As much as I like having him without the accessories is kind of boring. That's still cool, though. I like the... I like that action feature. But, as you can see, this is the Comic-Con release, so we do have a throne, which just kind of sits behind him. It is to give him a more regal look, not so much to hold him, because Jabba can't be held. You also get his hookah, which you can see has small creatures inside, actually molded in there, which is nice. I wish they were floating around, but they did avoid using actual liquid, which is appreciated. Now this can, of course, slide in here, like that, and you can bring this around. This, give him the end, and because of his opening mouth, you can fit it in there, which is nice, because now he can actually use his accessory properly. And his other accessory is Salacious Crumb, who is his little laughing rat minion. And he is a brand new figure, and he's not just a static piece either. He actually does have joints. His neck does pivot up and down. It does rotate. He's got shoulders that move out, in. They also rotate. And his hips, the same kind of joint. So you do have that, plus his tail does the same thing, which is great. He is awesome, because you can actually get him in some poses. The face sculpt is pretty good, too. He looks very Jim Henson-y. But all you gotta do with him is just place him on Jabba. His tail balances him out nicely, and you're all good to go. So overall, this set is quite great as a diorama piece. When he goes into like, oh, how well can I pose Jabba? You can get him with smoking hookah, not smoking hookah, laughing. And Salacious Crumb can kind of just do the same kind of things. He can do minor pose changes. But is the set worth it? And that's the big question. Well, what the price is going for now, I would say not as much. When it first came out, even the prices were a little high. But the question that you got to ask yourself is, how much do you want a Jabba's Palace diorama? Because you know that this isn't the only piece you get. If you want the proper Jabba's Palace diorama, you got to throw in a Leia that you can probably get on sale places. You got to throw in a Boba Fett, who is now easier to get. If you want it really complete, you're going to want to throw on the Carbonite, and that's even more expensive. And also, I didn't bring it stand. And you might want to throw in a Luke, and an R2, and a C-3PO, Bib Fortuna, and all them when they come out. We haven't gotten announcements for C-3PO or Bib Fortuna, but I'm sure they're happening. Because Hasbro seems to like Return of the Jedi, which is, you know, the way it should be. So overall, I gotta say, if you have these other parts, or if you have none of these other parts, this is a really cool set, and I enjoy having it. And for me, it was worth the cost, because I love Return of the Jedi. I'm also a completionist on the 6-inch Star Wars line, and overall, I gotta say that I'm really impressed. It's a great diorama piece, and that's what it comes down to. Do not try to get this set for, oh my god, how much can I pose Jabba? What can I do with him? You know, that kind of stuff. He is pretty much a diorama piece. And that's okay, because honestly, I don't know how they're going to articulate Jabba the Hutt anyways. So, overall, gotta say, I really love this set, but it may not be for you. And that is all for this episode of Soundout's Toy Chest. Next week's review should be quite interesting and might cause a little bit of controversy. You have to stay tuned for that. So until next week, be sure to subscribe to Soundout 12, as every Saturday I post a new Soundout review, which will feature Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, Transformers, or something large that I want to review. Also check out Model Kit Monday, where I review model kits. May it be Gunpla, may it be MG Figurize, whatever it may be, happens on Mondays. And always check out Soundout's Toy Chest, where I take a look at a random item from my collection and try to give a little bit of mystery by posting a clue on Twitter and not revealing what the video is for 24 hours. But until then, be sure to check out Hirotaku.com for all your Star Wars news and more. And thanks to Sound saying, may the Force be with you.